this administration is like the gang that can't shoot straight. Everything that we do, it doesn't matter if it's Afghan withdrawal. It doesn't matter if it's our proxy wars. It doesn't matter if it's a freaking trying to put a dock up at Gaza, $21 million the last 3 days, or $200 million the last 3 days. The Secret Service doesn't work. The border doesn't work. Our Afghan withdrawals don't work. At what point do our enemies start looking at this and going, hey, man, this is a rusty ship. The Eagles got no clothes. I'm looking at this from the outside looking in saying, man, I got to tell you, this is, to me, I think it was you quoted it, I think, and it was really great. And it was like, this level of incompetence is going to breed aggression. We have 100 years of foreign policy based on one concept: mutually assured destruction. Everything that we've done, all of our empire building that we've done for a century, us dropping our balls on the table and flexing on every freaking country in the world has come down to fuck around and find out. And now people are starting to fuck around, and they're not really finding out. And I think that that's a really dangerous thing for us here at home. I think that that's something where we're looking at, guys like Putin saying, not only are we going to put warships around Cuba, but we're going to put ICBMs in Mexico. Yeah. And should we be looking at this as a situation like our guys have this under control, or is this a red flag to you?
It's a huge red flag. So probably the worst thing that happened yesterday is that America's enemies saw what's supposed to be the most elite protection detail on earth get defeated by a 20-year-old child with no training. And the quote is, weakness invites aggression. And that is absolutely true. So if you want to look back through history a little bit, let's talk about Putin and Ukraine a little bit. When George W. Bush was president, he was a feckless, incompetent turd that had us stretched beyond our means in places that we shouldn't have been. So what does Putin do? He knows he's weak, right?
But they were mean to his daddy, though. Have you considered that?
Yeah. But what happened? Putin invades Georgia, and we're dealing with the fallout from that still. And then Obama becomes president. He's another absolute coward.
For you goons that are listening, Georgia, not like in the United States, Atlanta, Georgia, the country that Stalin was born in Eastern Europe. There, just FYI. You get, and then never underestimate the stupidity of my audience.
Sure. Oh yeah, same. So Obama becomes president, Russia invades and keeps Crimea, and then Trump crickets, and then Biden becomes president. If you believe that he's actually the president, and Putin invades Ukraine, right? And then somehow that math equals that Trump is a Russian asset. Now I'll have to look at the work on that and see exactly.
Yeah, you have to be academic level of intelligent to be able to do that. Yeah, stupid of mental gymnastics.
Yeah, only Ed Whitten can fix that math problem. So it's absolute nonsense, right? So the purpose of the presidency is to project strength and competence. And I'll quote my friend Greg Hurwitz. He's the author of the Nowhere Man series. If you've ever read those, they're great books. How you do anything is how you do everything. Mm-hmm. And if the standard, and look, you will, no matter what you're marching towards, you're going to get there. If you're marching towards nowhere, that's exactly where you're going to get. And the steps you take are defined by your mission statement as a human being. Every company on earth has one. When I was at Black Rifle back in the day, the mission statement was, we serve coffee and culture to people who love America. So, as an employee of the company, no matter what you do and your function, you can say, do my actions right now support that mission? As a member of the military, it's very easy as well. We call it commander's intent in the military. Do my actions reflect commander's intent? Am I actually achieving the goal that I'm supposed to be? And if your intent is to protect the country and make the economy great and make America freer and shrink the size of government and all blah, 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 and all this stuff, and improve people's lives and do the stuff that you're actually supposed to do, then you will probably accomplish. Nobody's going to be perfect, but you're going to accomplish a great deal of that. If your goal is to diversify, then you're going to be, and that's where we are right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the goal is to make America as European as possible. The goal is very clearly to usher in some sort of global federalism, break down American sovereignty. It's literally the main financier of this regime is Open Borders Society. It says, and then people are like, why is it happening at the border? Well, the number one donor is the guy from Open Borders Society. Yeah. So, you know, they came out with an entire hype video about you will own nothing and be happy. And 4 years later, nobody can afford a house. And people are like, how did this happen? It's like, dude, to their credit, they have not lied about their intentions here. Yeah. They've not lied about what they want. They want to, you know, fundamentally transform the world. They are going to live in a peaceful utopia, no matter how many of us farmers they have to kill to get there. Yeah,
it sounds like Peacemaker, John Cena on Peacemaker. I'm going to make the world a peaceful place, no matter how many men, women, and children I have to kill to make it happen, right?
Exactly. That's the phrase. Precisely.
But yeah, so, that's how it works. I mean, we're dealing with levels of gross incompetence. So, do
you think it's, in your opinion, obviously, do you think it's actual ignorance, or do you think that there is a malignancy amongst our leadership?
I mean, I think there's a cancer in their head. Yeah. My personal opinion is I think that America is the last stalwart that stands up against globalism, and they want to take it down. And that's why they're so afraid of Trump, because what globalism is control. That's all it is, right? I mean, sure. It's the Matrix. It's the same story in every dystopian novel you've ever heard, or every trip from a republic to an empire that you've ever heard throughout all of human history, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. It always happens the same way. People in power grow to love the smell of their own farts, and then fucking, why don't you like it? I mean, I love it. Why don't you like it?
Well, you know just what? Don't get it. You're not smart enough. You don't get it.
Yeah, you're a pleb, so I'm going to make you get it now. Yeah. And, you know, the thing about the American experiment is it delivered patriotism to a people that hasn't really been seen on this planet since Julius Caesar's legions, in my opinion. Not that, like, I'm not an apologist for Julius Caesar. He did some things I like, some things I don't, but he made his men believe in the cause. You know what I mean? And that's what a great leader does. And when you really believe in something, that's when you're willing to go put your life on the line for it. When you understand that the thing that you are doing it for is more important than your individual self. That's what makes things great. That men didn't love Rome because she was great. Rome was great because the men had loved her. And that's how it works. So it is, you can see where culture is in the reflection of how men particularly behave, how they treat the flag or the thing, whatever it happens to be, right?
How they allow others to treat it, whether they intervene. You know, this world, the last 5 years, man, have really put my libertarian worldview to the absolute test. And I come away from it thinking, man, you know, I cannot be a libertarian as they currently operate, because the non-aggression principle to me is nonsensical. We don't get the world we deserve. We get the world we allow. And I think a lot of our current problems could have been avoided if we'd have nipped this in the bud and stopped a lot of this early on. But I think that there was some, you know, there's some amount of that our empathy was weaponized. You know, people took the best part of us and say, hey, man, this is wrong. And we were like, you know what? Okay, let's make it right. And then there's another part of it that's cowardice. The whole idea of cancel culture and all this other stuff, especially in my industry, it's like, oh, you can't say that. You're going to get canceled. Oh, okay. I won't say it then. No, you know, and I've come around obviously on it. I've been probably at the forefront of saying shit I shouldn't say for 3-4 years now. But there was a solid 3-4 years before that where I did cower behind the concept of like, oh, I better not make the masters angry. And I think a lot of people, they took this shot to the ear. But if you look at Twitter yesterday, a lot of people that you would not expect in positions of extreme power, but also vulnerability within the entertainment industry, sports industry, came out and signaled their support for Trump and their love for America. It was like the day everybody came out of the closet. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that all these people who have clearly felt this way for a long time felt empowered yesterday and the day before to come out and say, nah, I fully support Trump. And I hate woke. I hate what's happened. I used to be a leftist. Now I'm on the right. Over and over and over. Person after person after person. High profile. Des Bryant, Mitch Robinson on the Knicks. People you wouldn't expect. Why do you think they felt empowered to do that?
People have an innate sense of liberty that they project onto themselves always, right? the thing about liberty, though, is it only exists if it exists for everyone and all the time. Otherwise, it's just some new form of control. These people, I think, more than the choice itself, individuals get really angry when the choice is taken away from them. And regardless of how anybody felt last night or 2 nights ago before this happened, they knew there was a choice. I'm going to choose to vote for X or Y, whatever choice they were going to make. And I think that that targeting Trump unlocks something in people. Is like, you know what? They're trying to take my choice away. And then the second light bulb goes off. And with the lawfare, like, oh, they've been trying to take my choice away for some time.
Yeah,
right?
interesting.
And the blinders come off. I think another explanation for a lot of folks is that they were already going to vote for Trump anyways, and this just gave them cover to come out and say it in public, frankly. But I do think I have heard from a lot of people whose minds have legitimately been changed by this action, and nobody said what I just said. Not exactly, but I think that people want a strong leader. You know what I mean? Like you don't want some feckless twat to be in charge of you, especially when it's your wallet and your safety.
Sure.
And it's very obvious, regardless of what anybody thinks, when Trump fucking stood up, the 78-year-old man gets shot through the ear and he stands up and puts his fist in the air and says, fight. That's one of the most poignant moments, I think, in American history right there, which is interesting because a lot of people, there's a lot of recency bias. Everybody's like, oh, this is the most or worst or best thing in history or whatever. It happens a lot. That's just kind of how we've come to communicate these days. And it's usually
also we've lived through it, right? So, I mean, you can talk about, Teddy Roosevelt getting shot in the chest and speaking, but we didn't see it. We can't we can't internalize it the way that we watch that as it happened.
Yeah, there's some of that. And I don't think the Teddy Roosevelt thing was cool because he survived and did the speech and everything. He did lose, though, in 1912. So
not only did he lose, but he split the ticket and he brought in Woodrow Wilson and the Federal Reserve and World War I. And I love Teddy Roosevelt, man, but did he screw the pooch on that one, man?
Yeah. I mean, he was a bit of a maverick in that regard. But yeah, I think a lot of people, it used to be the case that people voted with their wallets. If the economy was going good, if the misery index was under 11, typically, which is to say unemployment plus inflation over the course of the 4-year period. So if your unemployment rate was around 4% right then, and combined inflation had been somewhere around 6 to 8% during that presidency, there's a good chance that guy is going to get reelected.
They've been cooking the books for 12 straight quarters. So what is that? What do those numbers even mean anymore? Well, when they go back and 2 weeks later, they're revising the numbers that they came out and said. They just get the spike in the stock market. Everybody sees that. Oh, the numbers are unemployment is negative 15. And and it's like, okay, 2 weeks later. Oh yeah, no. That was actually, it was plus 15. Sorry.
Yeah. And it's, it was kind of trending that direction even before they started really with those stats. People just became tribal again. And I think this is making people less tribal. They just like, when it comes down to survival, a lot of your fringe beliefs go away, right? These things that you're super anal about, you're not so anal about when you got to put food on the table. And speaking of the stock market, nobody is using proceeds from the stock market to put food on their family's tables. Yeah, that's just not happening. Yeah. So I don't want to hear about that from these cocksuckers, man.
Because the people that are cashing out are then immediately going to be like, what the is going on with capital gains taxes? Why did nobody tell me? Like, what do you? So stock market's a cool thing if you can leverage it and the bank will give you whatever loans you. If you could Robert Kiyosaki a new yacht off of your Nvidia holdings, good for you, man. Absolutely. But to your point, if you're sitting here saying, well, if you just put money in the S&P, you'd be up 500%. And it was like, okay, take it out. And then 35% of that gone. So thanks for playing.